Urgent, Niners fan! Look at what just happened! Nobody saw this coming, huh? But first, make sure to subscribe to the channel because we bring you daily videos with the latest Niners news. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss anything. Why Canty believes 49ers should trade Purdy to Steelers for Watt's. TJ Watt's future with the Pittsburgh Steelers remains cloudy. Could the Bay serve as a potential new home for the star linebacker? Chris Canty seems to think so. The former NFL defensive lineman turned ESPN analyst shared a bizarre trade proposal that would bring Watt to San Francisco and ship quarterback Brock Purdy, who's awaiting a contract extension this offseason, to Pittsburgh. Using TJ Watt as a way to be able to pry Brock Purdy from San Francisco, Canty explained on ESPN Radio's Unsportsmanlike. The 49ers gutted at defense, being able to add some help for Fred Warner and Nick Bosa. TJ Watt in that group. Robert Saleh now back there as the defensive coordinator. The 49ers got the 11th overall pick, so they can presumably draft a quarterback if they don't have to give up that pick in the trade. I don't know how the 49ers say no to that. Well, for starters, San Francisco suffered several losses this offseason for cost-cutting reasons, seemingly to make room to pay Purdy, who could earn anywhere from $50 million to $60 million per season. Some of those moves included saying goodbye to impact players such as linebacker Dre Greenlaw, wide receiver Deebo Samuel, and cornerback Charvarius Ward. The 49ers spent approximately $246 million in salary last year in their effort to get over the hump to win a Super Bowl, but their 2024 season, largely due to injuries, fell well below expectations. San Francisco's 2025 salary cap situation now includes more than $80 million connected to players no longer on the team, including Samuel, defensive tackle Eric Armstead, Ward, and defensive lineman Leonard Floyd. And after the recent roster shakeup, the 49ers are hopeful a contract extension for their star quarterback gets done this offseason. Aside from the finances, former NFL guard-turned-ESPN analyst Damian Woody reacted to his colleague's trade proposal and explained why it's impudent to Purdy. It's disrespectful to Brock Purdy. To be honest with you, Woody said. Friday morning on First Take. Brock Purdy is what I call a Tier 2 quarterback. Has not in the Tier 1 with the Joe Burrows and Lamar Jacksons and Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allens, but he's right there. Has a guy you can win a championship with in this league. There's no question about it. Do those guys grow on trees? Do those types of quarterbacks grow on trees? They do not. Why in the world would the San Francisco 49ers, who by the way have been unloading guys on their roster because they know they have to pay the quarterback, why would you make that trade? It makes absolutely no sense. And for anyone who says 49ers coach Kyle Shanahan can go out here and plug and play any quarterback, we saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo, and I think everyone on this panel would say that Brock Purdy is significantly better than Jimmy Garoppolo. So from all of this, we got to stop disrespecting Brock Purdy because he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. Watt's recent cryptic social media post raised speculation about the status of his Steelers extension, with the 30-year-old posting a photo of himself holding up the peace sign to his Instagram story. Pausing this news just to say that if you want YouTube to keep recommending the latest Niners news to you, it's very important that you leave a like on this video. Thanks. Now let's get back to the news. Dolphins, Tyreek Hill trade. Idea to 49ers? Sometimes NFL writers and analysts overthink things. Sometimes they don't think at all. The latter might be the case when discussing a potential trade between the San Francisco 49ers and the Miami Dolphins. Mitchell Milani of Bleacher Report proposed an ungodly trade. He proposed the San Francisco 49ers trading Brandon Ayuk, damaged, goods and all, to the Miami Dolphins for Tyreek Hill, who is one of the best receivers in the game. No draft picks, no extra players thrown in, just straight up 1-for-1. Insert laughing spell here. Hill, an 8-time Pro Bowler, a 5-time All-Pro, and a Super Bowl champion, did comment at the end of last season he wanted out of Miami. He later said he made the comments out of frustration for his poor season and the team not making the playoffs. He and his agent have since walked his comments back. Last season was the first time in 4 years he did not surpass 1,000 receiving yards, and the Dolphins did not make the playoffs for the first time since Hill arrived 3 years ago. The rationale is that it is a good trade for the 49ers. Of course it is. They get a healthy Pro Bowler and trade a damaged, broken receiver to the Dolphins, who makes roughly the same money as Hill. It is a lousy trade for the Dolphins. Dolphins general manager Chris Greer might have been born in the morning, but it wasn't yesterday morning. Hill wants to go to the playoffs, and the 49ers have no plan to go to the playoffs right now. San Francisco is dumping salary like the captain of the Titanic was dumping water. The 49ers got rid of most of their stars and desperately want to move Ayuk to get out from underneath his contract. Why would they want to add another receiver who makes more money? Tyreek is due $28 million this year to the fold. It's a made-up idea that makes no sense. Ex-NFL player calls 49ers Brock Purdy trade idea disrespectful. Does Brock Purdy have a long-term home with 49ers? It seems like the San Francisco 49ers are the prime team to make a draft day trade, and it could include the services of Brandon Ayuk. However, an ex-NFL player called the idea of trading quarterback Brock Purdy disrespectful, according to a post on X by First Take. Purdy, the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, has a 3-year record of 2,313. He led the 49ers to the Super Bowl in 2023, coming up just short of the Chiefs in overtime. Trade of QB Brock Purdy doesn't seem wise. Woody jumped on the First Take panel for the notion that trading Purdy could be considered reasonable. Guys, what are we talking about here? Woody said. The 49ers trading away Brock Purdy? It's disrespectful to Brock Purdy, to be honest with you. Brock Purdy is what I call a Tier 2 quarterback. Has not in Tier 1 with Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, and Josh Allen, but he's right there. As a note, Allen has 7 playoff wins in 7 years, and Burrow has 5 playoff wins in 5 years. In his 7 seasons, Jackson has only 3 playoff victories. Meanwhile, Purdy already has 4 postseason wins in only 3 NFL seasons. Of course, Mahomes has 17 playoffs and stands at the top of the active quarterback list. After saying the 49ers could win the Super Bowl with Purdy, Woody asked, "Do those guys grow on trees?" They do not. Why would the San Francisco 49ers, who have been unloading guys off their roster because they know they've got to pay the quarterback, why would you make that trade? It makes absolutely no sense. And for anybody who says Kyle Shanahan can go out here and plug and play any quarterback. We saw that with Jimmy Garoppolo. And I think everyone on this panel would say Purdy is significantly better than Jimmy Garoppolo. From all of this, we've got to stop disrespecting Brock Purdy because he's a top 10 quarterback in this league. 49ers want nothing more than Shedeur Sanders to slide in NFL draft. This could benefit the Niners in more ways than one. The 49ers wouldn't have an interest in drafting him, but Shedeur Sanders potentially slipping in round 1 would carry massive ramifications. Unless the San Francisco 49ers opt to drop a bomb in round 1 of the NFL draft, they won't be selecting a quarterback with the number 11 overall pick. All signs point to them being fully committed to Brock Purdy, and the two parties are moving well toward what will be a lucrative contract extension for the final pick of the 2022 draft. Unless things fall apart on that front between now and day 1 of the 2025 draft, one can effectively cross off a quarterback being the Niners' primary target with their first pick. Round 1 quarterback prospects still have a possible impact on San Francisco, though, namely Colorado's Shedeur Sanders. Sanders' landing spot is becoming more and more difficult to assess. For much of the offseason draft lead-up, he'd been speculated as a top 3 selection, but more recent developments suggest Sanders could slip. Case in point, ESPN's Mel Kiper Jr. mocked him to number 9 overall, where the New Orleans Saints are currently slated to pick. Additionally, the number 2 overall drafting Cleveland Browns just inked veteran quarterback Joe Flacco, which suggests they won't be overly aggressive in making Sanders their top pick. Even if they wouldn't be interested in picking Sanders, the 49ers would love nothing more than a drop down the big board. 49ers benefit if Shedeur Sanders falls in NFL draft. A would-be Sanders fall opens up the door for a number of different possibilities. On the surface, it might potentially push other non-quarterback prospects further down the board too. That's a plus. Perhaps the Niners have a greater shot at landing a standout player like Michigan defensive tackle Mason Graham, who should be a top 5 pick but could see his own fall given the fluidity of Sanders' uncertainty. However, the bigger potential benefit is if another team begins to lick its chops at Sanders dropping, namely if that team is poised to select much later in the first round. For example, the Pittsburgh Steelers have an uncertain quarterbacking future and are poised to pick at number 21 overall. If they see Sanders as a long-term fix and are willing to be aggressive enough to trade up with San Francisco to obtain the no. 11 overall pick, the 49ers might be able to recoup a significant amount of draft capital, even if it means missing out on a possible blue-chip prospect. Given the plethora of Niners roster holes, that might be the smarter play, and they could hope Sanders dropping in the draft might lead to that. And now, Niners fan, I want to hear from you. What's your opinion on this? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I don't know if you know this, but your opinion matters a lot for Niners. They'll be back any moment with more Niners news.